It was made for the track, and today it's back. Our 68 Mustang road course car that soon could be in your garage. That's right, we're giving this car away at a special sweepstakes soon. We'll tell you how to get your name in the hat later in the show.
Right now, though, we have some more tweaks to do to it before we take it to the Nashville Super Speedway and put it through the curves. Now, before we get to work, though, it's been quite a while since we teamed up with Year One to announce this giveaway project. So here's all the highlights that got us to that stage.
From the onset, our goal was to build a just-for-fun track car custom-made for the road course. The engine came first. A 347 small block using top-shelf parts to give it plenty of power and durability. The Mustang's designed as a tribute to high-performance icon Vic Edelbrock.
All right, you ready for another one?
You damn right, bigger and better.
So, guess who got to man the dyno controls during the engine's first power pull?
Go, baby, go.
518 horsepower to 347 inches.
Wait till 4 hears that.
For a body, we got one of Dynacorn's 68 metal shells.
Hold it forward a little.
Then, after test fitting all the drivetrain and suspension components, everything had to come apart for the paint job. Rick Bacon stepped up for this part of the project, laying down a new industrial-grade PPG red paint that's thick enough to handle track abuse.
That's a lot of red. Damn.
Our roll cage came from Auto Power, all pre-bent with special sleeves to help keep it together. After it, we could bolt our Kirky seats to the frame. And after removing the hood and fenders, we had lots of room to reinstall our new Global West Stage 5 front suspension and Wilwood brakes. After a final bolt-up of the rack and pinion steering setup from Flaming River, we rolled in the Curry 9-inch, complete with leaf springs to bolt up, and dropped in our Jazz fuel cell. The matching paint was an accident. Dropping the engine in the second time was even easier than before, and this time we followed up with an Edelbrock electric fuel pump, braided fuel lines, and a pressure regulator.
Then we neatly routed and secured our brake lines. We installed a Griffin radiator with twin fans, held in place with a couple of brackets we fabbed up ourselves. Next, we mounted a race wiring kit from Painless Performance, made our own aluminum panel for the track car's gauges that we got from Stuart Warner. Finally, some outside help for this glass act, and finishing touches like the bumpers, trim pieces, and Chris's homemade door panels.
The few things we have left to do to our track car are all about safety, starting with the ever-important harness. Now, needless to say, this is one area you don't want to cut corners in, so we're using RaceQuip's new cam lock belt set. It's a 6-point configuration that meets or exceeds SFI rating. Now, they use a cool magnesium alloy cam buckle, 3-inch proprietary web strapping, and lightweight aluminum shoulder strap adjusters. Now, what makes this a 6-point design? Well, it's the number of mounting locations on the belts. You have 2 on the shoulders, 2 on the lap belts, and 2 on the crotch strap for a total of 6. You should mount as much of the harness as possible to the chassis or roll cage using only grade 8 bolts like the ones in our kit. Also, the attachment points should provide the least amount of movement for the driver. Here's a couple of things you need to keep in mind when mounting a set of harnesses like this. The first one is the actual geometry of how they mount. Now, each manufacturer is going to have their own recommendation, and that needs to be followed to keep you safe. Even if it means adding an extra bar to the roll cage, so be it. Now, the shoulder and the lap belts are some of the most important. That's what's going to keep your butt and your back positioned and squared up in the seat. The crotch strap is there to locate the lap belt and to keep you from sliding down upon an impact. Now, the shoulder straps also help from keeping your head from hitting the roof and getting a neck injury. Now, when you tighten the straps, you want to make sure your shoulders stay against the seat, especially during an impact. Once you're comfortable and tight in the seat, take the car out on the track and burn some laps. We're adding a sidebar to our roll cage for extra protection and to provide mounting locations for our next piece of safety gear,
Which is the window net. This is a piece of mandatory safety equipment that'll keep the driver's body parts inside the car in the event of a rollover, and at the same time protect him from flying objects coming in from the outside. The top bar is spring-loaded on one end with a handle on the other for quick release in case you need to run. Also for safety, we're closing up some holes in the firewall so it can live up to its name. Now we need to get the Mustang onto our intercomp scales to check the weight at all 4 corners. For road course use, we want the weight to be as neutral as possible. Looks like our total weight is 2,988 pounds.
The 4 numbers at the top of the screen represent each corner of the car. Now our goal is to get it centered balanced at 50% right here. Now the first one we're going to do is right side to left side, which comes in at 50.23. It doesn't get much better than that. Now let's do a cross rate from the right front to the left rear. We're sitting at 49.93%. Now let's do just the opposite. Left front, right rear. Man, this thing's right on the money. This set of intercomp scales is way more important than just getting a total weight on the car. Now that we have a so-called driver that weighs about 180 pounds,
Hey, I heard that.
you can see that the left side weight has increased and so has the left to right side percentage. Now a lot of you may be thinking, just add 180 pounds to the right side and that'll be corrected. Well, the answer is wrong because his weight is actually distributed to all 4 corners of the car right now. So all we need is about 80 pounds in the right side to correct that balance. And you can do that with any type of weight you can actually secure in the car. Next up, we have a more critical setup we need to work on. We'll do that right after the break.
Hey, is this car making my butt look big?
Oh yeah, fingers and head too.
We're moments away from a road course payoff of our Mustang Track Car. Then it'll be time to give it away to some lucky gearhead, maybe you. Oh, but there's one more thing on our pre-track to-do list. We got to ensure that the caster, camber, and toe-in are correct for the road course. I tell you what, those terms can be a little confusing, especially if you don't use them every day, so here's a quick refresher course. Among the 3 most popular alignment terms is camber, the angle of the wheel when viewed from the front of the car. If the top leans out from the center, the camber's positive, in from the center, and it's negative. Now, caster is the angle of the steering pivot when viewed from the side. If the top of the pivot leans toward the rear, the caster is positive. Toward the front, it's negative. Toe-in is the difference in the distance between the front and back of the tires, measured in fractions of an inch. Toe-in means the front tires are actually closer to each other. Toe-out means just the opposite.
We noticed a lot of negative camber after we bolted the front suspension together. So we're going to reposition the lower control arms to get rid of it. That involves moving around these plates at the bottom of the frame. A little bit of negative camber improves handling in the corners, and our Global West front suspension maximizes that. That's a good starting point, but there's more later. Now we're going to set the toe. Our goal is a 16th toe out. And we'll do that by measuring the distance from the front, 16 7/8, and the back of the tire using these plates. Be towed in 1.5 inches right now.
You want out at 16?
Yeah, I want to go out now. After adjusting the tie rod sleeve evenly on both sides, we're able to get close to our mark. Still not quite there, so one more adjustment and we'll see what that does. It looks like 69 1/4 up front and 69 3/16 in the rear. Cool, just what we wanted. Next is the camber, and we're using a digital caster camber gauge from Intercomp. Now we want to make sure it is level using the bubble gauge. With a negative camber reading of 1.2, the cam plates we adjusted first was a good decision. With the gauge switched to the caster mode, now turn the wheel inboard 20 degrees. Zero out the gauge, and bring the wheel back to straight. This shows we have 2 degrees of positive caster. We're good to go.
Hard to believe in a few months this thing went from this to this. A cool, fun machine ready for its farewell ride at the track.
This project really has been one of my highlights. I mean, how often do you get to sit down with Vic Edelbrock at the dyno? Or screw around with Rick and Tommy down in Muscle Car when they paint a project? You know, I really hate to see this thing go, but it's ready.
A road course ready Mustang specially built for the pure joy of cutting corners and sailing down the straightaways. Now though, it's time to give it away. So don't miss your chance. Go to PowerBlockTV.com, click on the Year 1 Track Car giveaway box, fill out the entry form, click submit, and that's it. So good luck, and we'll see you after the break.
I'm telling you, once you get involved with a sport, once you get into it, very few get out.
Greg Anderson and Summit Racing teammate Jason Lyon are truly two of a kind. Both hard-driven competitors in NHRA Pro Stock racing, both relentless workaholics between races.
Those two guys, they get along well, they work well together. I mean, if you watch them work on something, it's like one guy with 4 arms.
The key championship work goes on here at Greg's KB Racing Shop. He's assembled a dream team to build the best competitive engines and chassis possible.
Joe, this is our fab shop for the car guys. We've got, welding benches, and we've got lathes and mills and metal brakes and shears, and really anything you want to do with that race car, you can build it for it right here, weld it up, be done next day, get over that racetrack, work on it.
Now, of course, we can't show you exactly how they build the engines that go into these race cars. That's top secret stuff. But guess this, the whole race team here's into high-performance daily drivers, and we're about to witness the build of a special engine that takes some of that Pro Stock technology right to the street.
That was the first sign there was something wrong with me right there.
Ever since he learned to drive as a kid, Jason's had a weakness for wagons. In fact, after the last race of '09 in Las Vegas, while other drivers headed to the airport, Jason and 2 crew members headed home in his newest personal project car.
I love Camaros and Mustangs as much as anybody else, but when's the last time you saw a 68 Biscayne wagon? So maybe there's a reason for that, I don't know, but I'm a muscle car lover. Anything with a big engine in it, I'm drawn to that for whatever reason. I don't care what kind of car it is.
There she is.
Jason even talked the boss into helping build a big block suitable for his gargantuan grocery getter.
Definitely heavy.
What's that little rascal weigh?
It weighs about 80 pounds.
Your typical Pro Stock crank would be about 50. Don't be scared. It's just a little fine tuning right here. Give her a little solid tap to the rear. Couple solid taps to the front. That should have the rear main perfectly centered on the thrust. Now we can bolt that down and we should have the proper thrust clearance.
See, we had the piston lateral gas ported here, which for street engine is fine. It helps us with ring seal, and it should definitely help us make a little more power. See, comp cams, 264 duration at 50 on the intake, 270 at 50 on the exhaust, solid roller.
Looks just like our Pro Stock cam, just a little bit smaller. Bottom end complete. Think we got it right?
Hopefully.
Good job.
Find out shortly.
We will. Our piston is about 5 thousandths out of the hole positive, so we're going to put a 51 thousandths head gasket in to get us back to 46 thousandths total deck clearance on our piston.
The Trickflow heads are ready to use out of the box, but not when you're a pursuer of power like Mr. Lyon here.
Our motto is anything that's worth doing is worth overdoing, so we probably did a little bit. We basically just welded the floors up with the intake runners and raised the whole runner up 150 thousandths. We left the cross-sectional area alone, and the head is still a 360 cc port. We also changed from a 45-degree valve seat to a 50-degree valve seat.
Jason, if I'm not mistaken, these Jessel's rocker stands bolt together.
They do normally bolt together, and the shaft-mounted rocker system that they make is really second to none. It's a great system, but in typical Pro Stock fashion, we decided to kind of bring it to the next level and just add a little bit of rigidity to it. We welded them together. This is our Trickflow manifold, matches the cylinder head. It's a single-plane manifold, and we sent it off to Wilson, who does. They do all of our Pro Stock stuff. They are the manifold experts, and we laid out the manifold for them so they could match our port after we, raised the port up. And it looks awesome, so can't wait to see how it runs.
Finally, the valve covers. Dude, we're about done here.
And we're about to get started, actually.
While the engine's getting set up on the dyno, let's check on the rest of Jason's ride.
Got the firewall smoothed out, so we got rid of all the dimples and the wrinkles that were in the firewalls.
Jim Smith at Street Customs and Restorations has the Biscayne body almost ready for paint.
It's got a nice little bit of metallic in it, not too heavy, so it's got a really nice sparkle. The rear doors, these are just about ready. I think these have been 220.
These guys do amazing restoration work, and Jason's wagon is many parts and lots of labor away from the finish line, but obviously in good, talented hands. Meanwhile, it's going to take a lot of power to get that bulky grocery getter down the thoroughfare.
726 foot-pounds of torque at 4,800.
Yeah.
812 horsepower at 65 miles.
Oh, you got a lot more than 800.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
She's gonna burn it. She's gonna burn the tires.
He definitely owes me after this. I'm going to leave it at that, Joe. He definitely owes me after this project.
You're watching Horsepower. For a DVD copy of this episode, just go to PowerBlockTV.com and order your copy for just $5.95 plus shipping and handling. Start your own Horsepower collection, delivered right to your door from the Power Block.
For our first hot part today, sometimes it's what you don't see in a street machine that really matters, whether it's a hidden nitrous bottle or a secret audio SFT kit. The main amp receiver is compact enough to hide under the seat or behind the dash. The LCD display is compact too. You can even attach this to your sun visor. Now it comes with provisions for your MP3 player, USB port, and it comes with this little flash drive that tells you all about the system. Now you got connections for everything from your CD changer to satellite radio to even your iPod. The Secret Audio SST comes from Custom Auto Sound with prices starting at $300.
Chasing down electrical problems is usually low on our to-do list, thanks to all the tools you need like testers, meters, indicators, and so on. Not anymore though, thanks to this, the Power Probe 3, 6 testers in one handy device. Clips to your battery, and you can check voltage and polarity, or even find a bad ground. Even power up motors, relays, and lights without jumper leads. It comes with a 20-foot extension lead so you can test the entire car without looking for ground hookups. To make the work even easier, it also comes with an LED flashlight and audio alerts. It's a handy multitasking tool that also comes with a handy case. Now, in case you were wondering, the price is about $100.
You know, I've noticed that as the close-up vision gets a little weaker, well, the numbers on my home toolbox sockets get a lot harder to read. Glasses will help the first problem. Here's a solution for the second. It's a Find It tool marking system from Urban Gorilla Tools, and it consists of 84 easy-to-find, easy-to-read labels for metric and SAE. Just clean off the surface with a little rubbing alcohol, like so, and then apply the oil-resistant permanent label. There it is. The kit goes for $5, a small price to pay for the end of eye strain, and you can find them at the GorillaTools.com website. Well, thanks for sticking with us for the past 30 minutes. We'll be available next week with more horsepower. See you then.